I'm here with the former president of the Barbados Amateur Basketball Association, Gay Griffith. And Gay would have presided over the 2000 championships, basketball championships in Barbados. And he obviously would have been in the administration. And from an administrative point of view, Gay, we know that there had to be a lot of strategic work in the background to get two good teams out, to play for Barbados. So I just want you to shed some light for the viewers, the court in session, subscribers, what the aim behind getting those two teams ready.
Yeah, Terry, thanks a lot for inviting me on your program and on your show. In order to be able to give you a good understanding of what happened here, Terry, we can need to do some going back in history to get a good understanding of what took place.
Yes.
So I became president in 1992, taking over from Gilmore Stewart, who had served for a long time and did a fantastic job leading basketball. So I had a number of persons that would have worked with me on the council at the time. A lot of different vice presidents and presidents, and different secretaries, different treasurers. But I guess over time, I was able to build a nucleus of persons who worked with me and helping to formulate a solid basketball footing. So having become the president in '92, it coincidentally was the year the gymnasium that was built by the Chinese was actually finished in Barbados. And I became president in January. So towards the end of '92, I think at the time, the former minister, West Hall, who was the minister at the time, he would have arranged to bring in the Harlem Globetrotters. You remember when they came into Barbados?
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, and that was the first big basketball event at the gymnasium. And when they came, gymnasium was full, right? It was real people turning up to watch the Harlem Globetrotters display, because this is something that we would have been seeing on television, but nobody ever got a chance to see it live. And it was a big event. Okay, so Harlem Globetrotters gone, and we gone into our '93 season. And our '93 season was the first time that we were hosting a domestic season on indoors. So people started to come out to watch the basketball. We started to get some decent crowds. And when I say decent crowds, you get 200, 300 people a night, which was decent to get at the beginning, 400, 500 when they got to playoffs. But in '93, we then had a CARICOM championships at the time, and there weren't many teams around. I remember Gary Amy, I think, was the head coach of the team at the time. And we had appointed Derek, and we had at that time, I think it was Barbados, Bahamas, and Guyana.
Yes.
So we had a big tournament, and Terry, I think it'd be good if we just say that Barbados didn't win the championship.
Yes. Let me leave it at that. They just didn't play well.
Terry, let me go to '94. Let me go to '94. It didn't finish good in '93. So in '94, we went to Guyana for the championships, and we decided then, okay, let me see if we can redeem ourselves in '94. So in '94, I think both men's and women's teams went on there to Guyana, and we actually won the tournament in Guyana. And yes, Terry, I want to tell you that you were around then, and that '94 team was really, really good, right? That team, I remember the starting five. I can see it right now, the starting five, and I am not sure we have a better starting five around that can ever be better for Barbados. But that starting five with Dwight Rouse, Andrew Allen, Charles Sticky Gill was playing three, Cosmo was a shooting guard, and Nigel was the point guard. Yeah. And that was a solid starting five. They actually played the most of the minutes, right? They had other players playing. Remember Francis Williams was on that team.
Yeah, Francis played that team, yeah.
Team. We had Michael Butcher, James, Mr. Impossible, Phillips. We had a number of good players on our team, but John Chris was on that team too. John Hall was on that team. But the major part was played by those five players, and the guys couldn't come inside because they block it. They couldn't go further because Andrew they block it. And then whenever we get the ball and we come in on court, they make sure who's the point guard, because if he got it, he going with it. If Nigel going with it, he going with it. If Colby going with it, and they had shooters on both wings. It was like massive. That team was really, really good. So we won the tournament in '94, but Terry, we didn't win the women. The women got beat bad again, and We needed to correct that. So this is what we did then. We decided then, look, let's see if we can actually get the women to be better, and let us see if we can actually get the men's team to actually be a consistent team. And Nigel had only joined us in 93, then 94. And Nigel was like a godsend for us because he was a player that had played not only at college in the States, but professionally in England, and he knew a lot about basketball. So he was a real asset to our team, 93 and 94. Mm-hmm. But then, I think 94, Harper was the coach in 94. I think it was, yeah. Then Harper took over as coach in 94. And it was really good for us to have won that men's tournament. And we went to, I think, some other place. I think in 95 or later in 94, we went to Montserrat. We went to Montserrat for a spalling tournament and thing down there. So we got some good PR because we were champions, and it started to feel good to be CARICON champions. So we decided to set up a plan. So this plan was a male plan and a female plan. And the male plan was try to find as many of our players we can find from Barbados that are studying in the USA that we might not would have made contact with. We also looked at persons who were playing professionally in England. And then we tried then to get some of our players out of Barbados into the USA. To make it better. So I think also because of the championship winning in 94, we made some contacts with some folks in Dominican Republic. And then it started because I remember I negotiated the first contract for Andrew Allen to play semi-professional in Dominican Republic. And then after that, Sydney Rowe got an opportunity to go down there as well. So we had Andrew Allen and Sydney Rowe. And Sydney also was a key member of the 94 team as well. So we had Andrew and Sydney. And then outside of that, they were in the Dominican Republic, and we started then to try to build a team then to be. So we had Nigel, we had Sydney and Andrew, and then we tried to get some players then out of Barbados. So then Victor Payne got out of Barbados. I think he went to Central Connecticut, right? Mario, who was dunking everything that he could in sight, he got out of Barbados too. He was at, I think, Texas Tech or something.
Yeah, he was Texas Tech, yeah.
Good. And then we had Neil Herwood was out of Barbados. He was at a scholarship as well overseas.
Yeah, he was in New York.
Right, and Randy had a stint overseas as well. So this team started to take some shape. So we had Andrew and Sydney playing professional. We had Nigel playing professional. We had Neil Herwood, Ryan Leacock, Mario Lane, Victor Payne, who were all overseas. So we had like 7 persons. Carlos Griffith, of course, was a tenacious on defense all over the place. Somebody could, with his extra long arms that he had there, he was very good on defense. And Peter Allen was an outstanding point guard. And I think we started to look good. We had Kelvin Patterson, Kelvin Brown, or you call him at the time. He was playing 4, solid player. And we were able to make contact with an overseas player at the time called Sean Eswick, and we had to take a chance on Sean. Nigel recommended him. Nigel found him for us, and we made contact. We brought him into Barbados. I remember it was very difficult at the time because Sean was actually working in a job, and Sean was had to give up his job to actually come to play for us at the time. And he came, and the team was filled out then by the number 12, Ryan Maynard, the late Ryan Maynard, Sam, as he would call him. He was also one of our spot-up shooters on the team as well. So we were able to get a good team in the men. I think that was 2000, but I think from about 97, 98, we started to get connectivity with FIBA to be able to get some coaches to come into Barbados to coach our local players, to coach our coaches, and to help develop the sport of basketball. And one of them that would have come and made a very good impression with us was Nelson Isley. And all we had to do when Nelson came, as we normally do with all the coaches, we had to find housing for them, transportation for them. And then they were given a subvention that would take care of their own meals and everything. And they were paid from the FIBA. And Nelson came and spent a really good time with us and did a fantastic job. So when we were getting ready to look at the 2000 championship, we brought Nelson back in again for a second stint with us. And he was the guy who was technical in building out that team for us. That team then was coached by Mark Harding, and it had Barry Rock. And I think there was a guy called Terry Ennis or something like that.
Yeah, he wasn't much good, but yeah.
No, you ain't gonna get me to shut on this boy. No, Terry, you were key, very, very strategic. So we had, because Mark was the head coach, but the strategic brains behind this thing was you and Barry were very strategic. You all were very successful in local. All three all were winning championships from local basketball, very successful coaches. And Nelson was in the background giving all the technical advice. Nelson, as you know, Nelson was doing most of his work really at the practices because he was preparing for what was coming. One of the things that Nelson did that a lot of us were not really set up for, Nelson used to watch basketball. So Nelson will watch and see the deficiencies of players and who can go left and who needs to go right and how to mark the different players, and Nelson was very good at that. So he helped us prepare in the practices for that. But let's talk about the women, Terry. So the women's basketball was not doing well. And to be quite honest, Terry, I am not so sure that the women's basketball it was probably like how it is now. You had persons that were playing netball and came and play basketball, but I don't think we were getting a lot of traction. I don't think we were really being successful. We were just competing, but we weren't really doing well. So in 1985, I met a guy, I remember his name was ML Carr, who I met him at Folkestone. And he was very interested in Sherry Holder, a girl at CP that had some good CSC, very academically inclined. And he was trying to get Sherry down there. But the thing is, what Sherry was doing and what Sherry wanted to study in the medical field, Sherry had the academics to back it. A lot of times when you try to get players out of Barbados, Terry, you know this quite well. They struggle on the academic side, but they're good players, but academically they're not strong. Sherry was very good academically, but she wasn't the best player they had. She was a decent player, but she was very strong academically. So this ML Carr guy, he was doing a scouting, and we got him, and he got Sherry, and I then started to work with the coach, Carrie Seymour, the assistant coach with Lorraine Morrissey, and we got Sherry out of Barbados in 95, early 96. And then we followed on from Sherry. We got Wanda Maynard Morris, no Wanda Airgard Belgraves. She was our next player going to Pace University with Sherry. And then they were interested in another tall player. And they told him I have a girl called Celia Collymore. But obviously, Celia wasn't tall. But I wanted to get Celia in it. So Celia was a very skilled person, and she was very good basketball, very good IQ. So we suggested Celia, and the lady said she wanted a tall player. I tell her, well, look, take Celia and I can get a tall player for you for this summer. So then we went out and we found Astrid Beth at the time. She was now Astrid Allen, married to Andrew Allen. So we got Astrid Beth out. She was playing that ball really, but we got her into basketball and quickly give her some quick coaching, and we had her down in Pace. So Terry, we had 4 players at Pace University. That was Sherry, Wanda, Celia, and Astrid. By that time, Sonia Burke was already overseas studying. I think she was Springfield College or something like that.
She was there. I think that was in Florida or something like that.
So Sonia was out. You had gotten a scholarship for Natalie Hunt. I'm sure you got Natalie out of Barbados. Right. And Joycelyn Rollins, they was able to make contact with a coach in the States in Springfield and Savannah College of Art and Design. So we got Joycelyn out. And we started to get the players there. I remember Melinda McLean was also on the team, but she had already had her degree. And Rhea Phillips was a young talent. Jamila Griffith was a young talent. They actually all have degrees since then. And then we finished off the team with Ingrid Jordan, who was a cruel point guard.
Quick. She was real quick.
Skilled. Yeah. Ingrid, they couldn't stop Ingrid. Ingrid was like a freight train coming at you. And then George Braffett was our young protege on the team. And together, we started to put this team together. And the team only came together in 2000. This team, we were building for that 2000 championship. So we got this team together. The team then was coached then by Dwight, who had retired, Cosmo, who had retired, and Francis, who had retired. So all 3 members of the 94 team now coaches on that 2000 team. So we had the team, Terry. We had the team. We had the coaches. We had the technical director. And we were ready then to compete in that championships. But Terry, then we had to do some other stuff. We had to now look at getting the tournament structure. The planning stages were to get a good team to host. But then from an administrative perspective, we had a number of meetings trying to put the right plans in place to host this tournament, because when you're putting together a tournament, Terry, we have to deal with the administration, we got to deal with the officials, we got to deal with housing, we got to deal with public relations, we got to deal with the gate, we have to deal with the security personnel, we got to deal with not just accommodation, but the meals, we have to deal with transport to and from, we got to look at the financing, we got to look at the game schedule. I mean, it was rough. It was a lot to do. So in 2000, actually, in 98 and 99, I went on to the Caribbean Basketball Confederation as the vice president for marketing. So in 2000, I actually became the Caribbean Basketball Confederation president, even though I was the Barbados Amateur Basketball Association president. I became president of CBC, and that was a 4-year stint from 2012 to 2004. Obviously, being the CBC president then allowed me then to move on then to be on the FIBA America board and to be able to negotiate a lot of stuff for the Caribbean. My vice president at the time, I remember Francis was vice president of marketing. He took over from me in 2000, and Glenn was vice president technical. Actually, Glenn is now still the current president of the Caribbean Basketball Confederation. So we actually then had some good, strong executive members. Even though you were working with the coaching, you know, you still gave us a lot of input from the administration perspective. I remember one of my former vice presidents, Anton Lovell. Anton took full responsibility for the gate. So he organized all the gate, getting the monies collected, and he put his team together that were collecting the funds. We had Winston Lane, who then was responsible for making sure that he did the budget to make sure that the late Winston Lane, that he passed away this year. But Winston was very instrumental in making sure that we did not operate at a loss, that it was a profit.
He's a very meticulous guy.
Oh yes, you know the situation. Then Glenn was responsible for the technical, so he was being the technical person with the Caribbean Basketball Confederation. Glenn was responsible for sorting out the scheduling, and the officials obviously would have been involved with the scheduling too, because we had to make sure that Barbados was playing most of the late games, the last games on the night, and then on one of the days when Barbados was not playing at the men, we had the women. And the women had a late game. I remember there was one day when Barbados had to play early. We had, I think it was a 11 o'clock or something like that game, or 12 o'clock or something like that. And we had a game, and we set up a lot of schools in the area to come and, you know, come to the games for free and that kind of stuff, just to get the gymnasium full for the lunchtime. So from an administrative perspective, we had meetings daily. And as I said, there were key people in every aspect. As I said, Glenn was dealing with the officials, Anton and a guy called Joseph Marshall, you know, were looking after the gate. Michael Holder was helping with the gate. The security, you know, Sarge would have been our key person. Harrison Henry, he was the key person, making sure the security was in place. A lot of public relations I would have done myself. The accommodation, I can't thank Dennis and Michelle Johnson enough for all the work they did in setting up the Golden Sands, and then a lot of smaller hotels that were in that area were responsible for housing and making sure we were fed and everything in that location. The transport was all begging, whether it be the National Sports Council bus, the Barbados Community College bus, the Barbados Olympic Association bus. So we begged for a lot of free transport, but it required coordination. So you had to, I can't remember who was it, but there was somebody responsible for making sure the transport was in place, because you have to take the players to practice, pick them up from practice. You have to take them to games at night, pick them up when they are ready to go back, so they could pick up another team to come back. It was a lot of work to get the transportation going well. And as I said, Winston was the person responsible for the finance. I would have helped Glenn with the scheduling to make sure the scheduling was in place. And then I remember the announcing on the night and the promotion. We had Mark Seal, take up Adrian Richard, he had a Copping. I'm sure that Frank Gill was involved as well, and I'm sure Jeff Brown was involved as well. Just people that had good voices, you know, that were able to tell, bring pictures and make the games live at the time for people. So we got a lot of people involved. I remember I could also mention Matt Fingal. I would have reached out to Mark and asked Mark to come and give us some support, and Mark came and had the gymnasium alive. You know what I mean? A lot of excitement and getting the crowd supporting, and Guys, I mean, Terry, the gymnasium was, I've never, ever seen the gymnasium as full as it was for this tournament. It was extremely full. People were coming and coming and coming. And I mean, it was, I actually could see it now because I'm not the president anymore. We went so far over the limit of numbers inside our gymnasium. We did over the limit. We had people sitting down in all kind of positions. As we got further in the tournament and Barbados kept winning, people were coming up. So the semifinals and finals, I mean, massive. So we had to do a lot of work to get it there, but at the same time, you still had to be meeting every day to see if we were meeting the budgeting. We got some sponsorship. The Olympic Association would have given us some sponsorship. The Sports Council would have given us some sponsorship. We had some sponsorship from some local businesses at the time. The Barbados Mutual Life Insurance Society, now Sagicor was our major sponsor, and they would have put a lot of money into us at the time, into supporting the event. So we had a number of other levels of sponsors that would have gotten involved in the tournament and helping us. So it was a lot going on. And I mean, CBC, VOB, all these stations were involved, and they were giving us lots of mileage and lots of promotions out there. We had radio ads, we had ads in the newspaper. It was really, really kicking. And the thing about it is that the live commentary actually made people realize that it was really good, and then they came out into it.
Yes.
The other thing too is that nobody had gotten the chance to see like the women's team play together. They would have known of these players, but they went overseas and they weren't around for a while, and then they were coming back in. And then people heard of Sean Eswick, and then people saw that Andrew was better, he got him bigger. Bunksy was a bigger player, better player. So then the team then was getting the, and everybody know that Mario was dunking everything. Victor was full of excitement and everything. And we actually used a lot of the players to do they did short stints and did some, because at the end of every game you were getting different players to talk about how the game was for them and how it was and everything. Got some of the coaches involved. So there were a lot of PR efforts that we did to actually make this thing really exciting. What I also would have done too, I was involved. I did a lot of the announcing of the teams before the game, you know. So put a lot of energy in announcing the teams and made it sound like what I used to hear on the radio for the overseas things, you know. So I started to become a big announcer. I remember the guy, the guy Bridgman, can't remember his first name, but the guy Bridgman, he was helping us a lot with the music. He was playing the music for us every night. Every night he was providing the music, and he was pushing certain songs to go with certain teams and certain players and that kind of stuff. So we had everything set up. It was an event. It really was a show that we put on. And I think that having put this off, hosted in '94, when it was in '93, when it didn't go well, we had to make sure the 2000 was great. And the 2000 was not just a good team, not just good coaches, not just a good technical director, but the administration behind it was to make sure that all the events, whether it was administration, the officials, the gate, security, public relations, accommodation, transport, finance, the scheduling, the announcing, all of those things had to come together to make this tournament the success that it was. And everyone that has been around has been saying that the 2000 championships that were held in Barbados was one of the best championships ever held by the Caribbean Basketball Confederation in terms of not just the quality of play, the competitiveness of the teams, but the organizational element behind it was really of the highest level. So I am happy about 2000, and I think that we actually did a relatively good job in bringing this tournament together.
Right, and yeah, I know you don't get enough credit. I mean, you get a lot of cussing, but you don't get enough credit for actually having a vision for that 2000 championship, that entire thing. Because I remember in '98 we came second in Belize, and it wasn't a fluke, but it was like strategic plannings from '94. So you don't get a lot of credit for, you know, the 2000 stuff. The players get, the coaches get a little, but they don't get much either. But everybody remember Victor Payne dunking over Jar Jar Richards, right? And they got a couple of clips on YouTube.
Celia were her game too,
right? And Celia scored 20-something in the final. But I think the Basketball Association at that time, which you were at the helm, should be given a lot of credit for bringing off such a wonderful tournament. And I want to, from court in session here now, I want to thank you very much for that, for your service to basketball. And I hope that you will still, I know that you are in a retirement now, but every once in a while, we will just, just come and ask you some questions so we can, get some knowledge and move forward. So I want to thank you for being here on Court in Session. And I want to wish you happy independence and very stay safe. And we will talk later.
Yes, just tell you, Terry, in closing that, as I said, Glenn Clark is now the president of the Caribbean Basketball Confederation, and Francis Williams is the president of the local association now, and obviously those were key members of my executive. And I reach out to them regularly. They check in with me when they need things done. And as I told you, Jeff, how you were as the former president, when they call us to do things, we must be able to see the event and the end. The moment the end is close and we can do what we have to do and get away,
we can help. If there's no end, we can help.
No problem.
Okay, thank you very much, Gay.
Okay, man. Take it easy.
Bye.